Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well everybody, it's Sibling Day, and today I got something very special to share with you. What is it, you ask? Well, let's look back at DreamWorks' Troll franchise. Now, in my opinion, DreamWorks Trolls is a pretty good movie. Maybe not as good as Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, Spirit, or Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, but it's still a decent flick. Mostly due to it being a jukebox musical film. And I like the plot where Poppy and Branch go on a dangerous quest to save the other trolls from the Bergens, while also teaching them that there are better ways to be happy than just eating them. Afterwards, Trolls influenced two holiday specials, which were Trolls Holiday and Trolls Holiday in Harmony, and two animated TV shows, which were Trolls The Beat Goes On and Trolls Trollstopia. Also, in 2020, Trolls got a sequel called Trolls World Tour, where Poppy and Branch discover several other troll tribes that represent a different music genre, while trying to prevent Queen Barb from uniting them under rock music. Now, to me, despite that COVID 19 prevented me from seeing it in theaters, and that the plot was kinda similar to Infinity War, I thought this was a great sequel, and I loved the different music genres that were featured throughout the movie. And last year, after giving us Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, DreamWorks gave us another Trolls movie, which is what I'll be blogging today. But you may be asking, what does this movie have to do with siblings? Well, you'll see. Released on November 17th, 2023, the movie is Trolls Band Together. Now, on for the plot of the movie. In this new sequel, Queen Poppy discovers that Branch and his four brothers were once part of her favorite boy band, BroZone. When one of his siblings, Floyd, gets kidnapped by a pair of nefarious villains, Branch and Poppy embark on a harrowing and emotional journey to reunite the other brothers and rescue Floyd from a fate even worse than pop culture obscurity. So, what do I think of the movie? Well, to be honest, I enjoyed it. Sure, it's not better than the second movie or Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, but it's a much better movie than, well, a certain animated Netflix movie that came out that same year. But now, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, ideas for a third Trolls film began prior to the release of Trolls World Tour in April 2020, when Justin Timberlake expressed interest in participating during his Apple Music takeover. DreamWorks Animation officially confirmed the third film's development in November 2021. The movie was directed by Walt Dorn along with Tim Heitz in his directorial debut. The screenplay was written by Elizabeth Tibbett, and Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger, who wrote the screenplays for the previous installments, returned to serve as executive producers alongside Danny Festa. Despite being predominantly CGI animation, with some additional animation by DNEG, the film includes some 2D animated sequences with animation styles inspired by Yellow Submarine and Fantasia. Plus, Theodore Shapiro, who previously composed the score for Trolls World Tour, returned to compose the score for this movie. After the movie was released, it grossed about $209 million worldwide, and it received mixed to positive reviews from critics and audiences. Now, in my personal opinion, the CGI animation for this movie is still pretty good, and while the 2D animation is kind of weird, it does make me miss traditional 2D animated films these days. Also, The thing that I like about this movie is that it's basically a reunion slash road trip film, kind of like Disney's The Country Bears or the 2011 Muppets movie. And I like the several different locations that Poppy and Branch go to during their trip, like the Vacay Island Resort, the Hole and Fun miniature golf course, and Mount Rageous. Also, like Turning Red, I like that it features a boy band group, which really brings back fond memories from the late 1990s to the early 2000s. Plus, spoiler alert, this movie includes an NSYNC cameo. Also to note, the reason why I chose to blog this movie for Sibling Day is because it focuses on the relationship between Branch and BroZone, whom were like brothers to him, and the relationship between Poppy and her long-lost sister Viva. As for the soundtrack, well, in my opinion, some of these songs weren't really that memorable to me, with the exception of Perfect Place, The Hustle Dimension, BroZone's Back, and Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. And that's all I got for Mustang notes. So let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Let's start with Queen Poppy, voiced again by Anna Kendrick, best known from the infamous Twilight Saga, along with the Pitch Perfect trilogy, Laika's Paranorman, 2014's Into the Woods, and the 2019 Disney Plus Christmas movie, Noelle. To me, like in the past two movies, Poppy is a spunky, optimistic, and happy-go-lucky troll queen. And during this movie, she joins Branch in getting his brothers back together in order to rescue Floyd. Next is her boyfriend, Branch, voiced by former NSYNC member Justin Timberlake, whom I talked about in my blogs of Shrek the Third, 2010's Yogi Bear movie, and of course, The Social Network. During this film, Branch serves as the main character, due to him being revealed to be a former member of BroZone when he was a baby. Also, I think Branch's role kind of feels like a tribute to Justin's NSYNC days. Plus, I was really surprised that Branch got to mention his late grandma, who was killed by Chef years ago, and it made me think of my recently deceased grandma, who passed away during Veterans Weekend last year. Next we come to Tiny Diamond, voiced by Kenan Thompson. Tiny Diamond is Guy Diamond's son, who was born during the beginning of Trolls World Tour. Anyway, during this movie, Tiny has a more proactive role in this movie, due to him joining Poppy and Branch on their quest to reunite BroZone, and I find it really cute that he gets to be one of Rhonda's drivers. Next up is our first new character, John Dory, the former leader of BroZone, voiced by Eric Andre, best known from the 2019 Lion King remake, Illumination Sing 2, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Ever since his band broke up, John has been living off the grid, living life on the road in his armadillo van, Rhonda. In a lot of ways, John Dory is pretty similar to how Branch was in the first movie, due to him being a survivalist who has been living in isolation, wary of emotional connection. Plus, John Dory is an expert on living off the land, but he isn't exactly great with reading social cues. Next we have Spruce, the heartthrob of BroZone, voiced by Daveed Diggs, who got to be in Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton, along with 2017's Wonder, Blue Sky's Ferdinand, Pixar's Soul, the DC League of Super Pets, and the 2023 Little Mermaid remake. After leaving BroZone, Spruce not only changed his name to Bruce, but he's also been running Vacay Island, he married a vacationer named Brandy, and he's been raising 13 children. The third member of BroZone is Clay, the fun boy of the group, voiced by Kid Cudi. To me, Despite having a reputation as a prankster, I see Clay as someone who wants to be taken seriously. Heck, he even joined a book club before BroZone split. Anyway, after leaving BroZone, Clay has been spending his days running the Hole in Fun golf course, and he's been a responsible manager of the other putt-putt trolls. The last member of BroZone is Floyd, voiced by Troye Sivan. Floyd is the shy, sensitive member of the group, and I find him to be a very relatable and important character due to him being compassionate, understanding, and even forgiving, and the fact that he's trapped in a diamond perfume bottle for a majority of the movie. And according to Floyd, the only way to free him is if his brothers can do the perfect family harmony in order to shatter it. Next on our list is Viva, the leader of the putt-putt trolls and Poppy's long-lost sister, voiced by Camila Cabello, whom was in the 2021 Cinderella movie. In my eyes, Viva is another great character. While she is described as being more Poppy than her sister, I like that she's also brave and protective. Plus, I thought her backstory, where she was left behind after Poppy was born, was actually quite surprising. Another set of characters to talk about are King Gristle Jr. and Bridget, voiced by Christopher Mintz-Plasse and Zooey Deschanel. To me, while they don't really have a big role in this movie compared to the first one, mostly what they do is go on their honeymoon while riding on Gristle's motorcycle. Plus, they managed to convince Viva that the Bergens have changed their ways. Finally, we come to the two new villains, Velvet and Veneer, voiced by Amy Schumer and Andrew Reynolds. These two are fake pop stars from Mountrageous who capture and torture trolls in order to gain their musical talent and become famous. In my opinion, between the two, Velvet is the most evil due to her having a very prideful, spoiled, bratty, and egotistical personality, and she desires to be heavily loved by everybody just because she believes that she deserves better. Veneer, on the other hand, isn't technically evil, but he is more of a shy, emotionally sensitive, clumsy, and misguided individual. However, I was pretty surprised when he publicly confessed his and his sister's crimes, which ended up getting them arrested. And now on to my final words. Overall, Trolls Band Together is not a perfect sequel, but it was still very entertaining. The animation was pretty weird at some parts, but still pretty good. Branch made a good main character, despite having a bit of bitterness and reluctance. Poppy was a fun supporting character, same goes for Tiny Diamond. The BroZone trolls, along with Viva, were pretty interesting new characters. And the villains, well, they were just your typical fake celebrities. However, some of the songs weren't really that memorable to me, and there was a very disturbing moment involving a pink eye. But despite those flaws, I think this is a decent movie that you should check out at least one time, especially for Sibling Day. Anyway, for my rating, I give this movie a 73% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power.